morning. It's really early. I woke up really early this morning. I have one of my kids home from university and she's a huge fan of tea biscuits. I just thought I was going to throw some of those together this morning and post this to kick off the show. So, couple things. This is just a basic recipe for tea biscuits. I don't know if anybody is a fan of them. I have one that I have used for many years and I'm just going to walk you through kind of the steps. So the first thing you're going to start with was 4.5 cups of all-purpose flour. With all-purpose flour, part of helping your recipe stay really fluffy and light is by making sure that your flour is somewhat aerated. So fluffing it up in the bag before you scoop it into the bowl, using a whisk or just fluffing it up with a little bit with a wooden spoon just helps to put some air and stuff into it. The next thing that I'm going to add is 1 teaspoon of baking soda, a full tablespoon of baking powder. One thing with baking powder, that actually helps with making the recipe really fluffy as well. 1 tablespoon of white sugar and 1 cup of butter. With tea biscuits, the colder your butter and then you cut it up, actually helps create steam in the recipe. So as it's baking, that's what helps the layers really build and make the tea biscuits rise and get fluffy and give all those nice little layers in it. So all I'm doing is cutting with a pastry cutter, the flour, the butter, the salt, the baking powder, and the sugar into it. I do need a teaspoon of salt. This is one of my adjustable measuring measuring spoons. It's great because it actually has all the different levels on it. So you can go from tablespoon to, a teaspoon, just with 1 tool for each recipe. Sprinkle that in there. So again, just cutting the flour and the butter and everything to make it a little bit crumbly. The nice thing with tea biscuits is you can make them sweet or savory. You can make them plain, then use jams or jellies with just some butter or clotted cream. You can also add white chocolate and cranberries, dust some blueberries and add those, or even just keep them put cheese or something like that in them. My family typically likes savory ones, but I'm gonna make a little bit of half and half. The last ingredient that I'm going to add is buttermilk. If you don't have your own buttermilk at home, you can actually make buttermilk really easy. I have whole milk and I just added 2 tablespoons of white vinegar to it. Gives it a little bit of that kind of chunky texture. So I'm just gonna add that to the flour. And again, with tea biscuits, when you're mixing it, once you've added the wet ingredients to the dry, don't overmix it. You don't want to overwork the flour and take all the air and stuff out of it. You want to make sure that it kind of stays very, you don't want to just don't want to overmix it. So you just want to mix it up enough until it's basically combined. Still looks a little lumpy and chunky. And as I said, I'm gonna make a little bit of plain and then I'm gonna make some with some cheese in it. So once you have it all mixed and incorporated together, flour your work surface. And I'm just gonna take about half of it out. And then I've got some shredded cheese that I'm gonna add to the last. Probably not a lot, that's quite a bit. You can add a little bit of onion powder or garlic powder, some Italian seasoning, just to make these ones on the savory side. They're nice with for using with dinner instead of dinner rolls. As you can tell, they come together really quick. I did preheat my oven to 400 degrees. The recipe that I use, that I found on Pinterest, and I've kind of doctored a little bit, does call for 425, but I find that 425 is just a little hot. So depending on your oven, you might want to adjust a little bit. So this is going to be fairly sticky. I don't roll it out. I don't want to pat it out too much. I just kind of get it into a surface. I've got different size cookie cutters. I'm going to use the larger ones for these just because I know that my daughter will want to be using these for breakfast this morning. Just cut them into shapes. And then I'm going to place them on a parchment lined cookie sheet. And again, just try not to overwork the dough too much. When you get down to sort of the last cut, you can just sort of form it into a similar ball. There. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the cheddar ones. So same thing, just kind of pat it down. You want it to be about 1.5 inches or so thick. If you're watching this video later on, feel free if you have questions, if you want me to post the recipe in the comments, just send me a message and I can certainly do that for you. If you don't have a lot of milk in the house and you want to make some, you can also substitute sour cream or even Greek yogurt in the recipe to make, to basically substitute. I would cut it back. You can even mix half and half using, you know, heavy cream, something like that. So there you go. Those are ready. I'll pop them in the oven now. Cooking time for them varies. I usually keep an eye on them until they rise up really good and they get nice and kind of like toasty brown. And yeah, that's it. There'll be out of the oven. I'll put a picture in the comments afterwards so you can see what the finished product looks like. Thanks for joining.